8 p.m. Hello and welcome to the Citi Newsroom, live on Citi TV. My name is Frema Adunyame.
And my name is Quao. Coming up.
Shama residents petition President Akufo-Addo to revoke appointment of their district chief executive.
Group drags former President John Dramani Mahama and his chief of staff Julius Debra to the special prosecutor over the transfer of over 40 million Ghana cedis from BOST to the presidency.
Now, also coming up, Technical University Workers Association of Ghana declare intentions to embark on a strike in solidarity with the Technical University Teachers Association.
A nurse accused of raping Italian woman at Damongo Hospital set free.
Now, 5 people lose their lives in the Sisala East municipality in the Upper West region following torrential rains in the area. Right, so we now take the details. Residents of Abuadze and Abuesi communities in the Shama district have called on President Akufo-Addo to immediately revoke the appointment of the Shama district chief executive, Joseph Amwa.
At a press conference held earlier today in Abuadze, the convener of the youth, Isaac Kofi Afo, said the DC was interfering with a promise made by Amandi Energy to employ the youth in the community. Citi News' Akwesi J.Nim has the details from Abuadze.
Wade and Abuesi are the host communities of the Abuadze Thermal Power Enclave in the Western region. The thermal plant currently generates over 1,042 megawatts. However, the youth of these communities who are unhappy have accused the Shama District Chief Executive Joseph Amwa of allegedly interfering with employment arrangement between Amandi Energy and the youth. The convener of the youth, Isaac Kofi Afo, stating their case, said the DCE's actions are not in their interest, hence their demands.
There have been several agreements between the companies and the communities, especially with Amandi, VRA, Tico, and the rest, about employment issues. This has not been fulfilled, and we want them to stick by the agreement that was agreed upon initially before the commencement of the project. There should be specific full quota, about 40%, to the Abuadze community and Abuesi, and the rest be shared for the remaining people within the district. This is the time to be giving the opportunity to our graduates and our artisans within the power enclave. We also disagree with the DCE about this idea of setting up office in the district assembly to employ people. How? There is a policy that we have made that all employment issues should be channeled through his office, and we are saying that this shouldn't be done. And we have stayed with VRA people, Tico, and the rest. Nothing of this sort has happened. Why only Amandi, Metka, and the rest? Why? Because of the personal interest of our DC. That's why we are seeking for this removal.
The assemblyman of Abuadze, Isaac Peaceful Bedu, who has also been advocating a fair share of jobs, refuted assertions by the DCE that they have reached an agreement.
The DC is going around and saying that he has settled this issue with Nananom and the rest. For the Nananom aspect, we cannot say it here, but we are saying as youth and as a leader of the community that we don't know any occasion that they have met us to discuss this issue. We also held in a town hall meeting last time that he said the issue at Abuadze is being solved. We want to make it clear to the viewers over there, to the general public, that it is total false. The DC had not had any discussion with this community with regards to the employment issue. The DC just go and meet the company owners, receive his package, and then draw conclusion that Abuadze people are troublesome. We are there and challenging him. If Nanado is comfortable with this man, Honorable Joseph Amwa, as DC, we are not happy with him because he's not helping the community in terms of development and a lot of things. And if not, 2020 is just around the corner. And Abuadze are going to assure the president that they are going to lose war-free here.
Meanwhile, the caretaker chief of Abuadze, Nana Quao also says he supports the demands by the youth.
You found out what they would Ghana or cake.
What the youth of Abuade and Abuezi are calling on the president to do is for him to sack the DC of Shama, and in failure to do that, they want Abuade and Abuezi to be taken out of the Shama district since they are not comfortable with the DC's interference when it comes to employment at the Tema Enclave. For Citi News, I am Akwasi Ejenim, Abuaze.
Meanwhile, the district chief executive for Shama, Joseph Amwa, and the Shama member of parliament, Ato Panford, who have both been accused by the people of Abuade and Abuesi of interference with employment in the thermal power enclave, have refuted the allegations.
I mean, how can the assembly be an employment agency for any company?
But can you say it on record that you've never given any directive for people looking for employment from Abuja to rather come to us?
No, I haven't done that. Because, you are aware, we have a lot on our hands to do. You understand? Why should we also be employing for others? It's not true. We met here to ensure that this arrangement is put in place. And other assembly members, the chiefs can bear me out. The MP can also bear me out. The regional minister himself can also bear me out. That what I've said is exactly what we agreed there. We didn't ask anybody to come to the district assembly to be employed for Amandi. It is never true.
There's a very, very important issue that we've all been trying to address. And basically what the regional minister did indicate and the roadmap that we all agreed to move ahead is what the youth representatives have consistently decided not to be part. But then the chief of Abuaze, Nanatum, invited the DC one early morning. I was in Accra when he told me that he's been invited to meet the chief. And then when he went there, it was there that he noticed that it was that subject. And then when he told me, I asked him, look, we had a plan to have the meeting at the assembly where all stakeholders will be part of it. Other assembly members and everybody will be part of that discussion so that we have a very conclusive position on that issue. But I think when he went there, I think they decided to draw another roadmap, which I'm not privy to. But actually, the main thing that they are still insisting is that though they had an initial plan with them. So if in your statement you call for 40%, and we're saying yes, the plant is located within your community. So if there are any opportunities coming, the first thing that the company will have to do is to look for some 50% and employ them. So I believe that there's a way forward. This discussion is not closed. So they should rather soften their position and come to the table to have the discussions. But if you put yourself in an entrenched position and say that, look, I won't attend any discussion, this is all what I'm looking for, who are you discussing with?
The youth of Abuade, Abuesi, the chiefs, the MP, and the DCE for Shama have all had their take on this issue of employment at the Tema Enclave. But the decision to actually sack or not to sack the DCE of Shama is currently in the hands of the president to decide. For Citi News, I am Akwasi Ejenim, Shama.
Let's go to some other stories. And a petition has been brought before the special prosecutor, Martin Amidu, against former President John Dramani Mahama and his chief of staff, Julius Debra. The petitioners, the Center for National Affairs, want the two investigated over the transfer of over 40 million Ghana cedis from bust to the presidency between August 2015 and early January 2017. And I've been joined by Samuel Odamilate. He's the executive director at the Center for National Affairs, to get through this issue and try to understand what exactly is happening. Hello, good evening, sir, and welcome to the Citi Newsroom.
Good evening, Nathan.
First of all,
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you very, very much for coming. First of all, I go through your statement and it says that you guys have evidence of, this said 40 million cedis moving from the accounts of the boss to the presidency. First of all, how did you come by this evidence? And do you think it is concrete proof enough to send this case to the special prosecutor?
Thank you. We have letters covering the said period, which actually prove that these transfers were actually made. Amounts between 2 million Ghana cedis and 3.5 million Ghana cedis being transferred on monthly basis at a time, whooping amounts being transferred at a time into this account, which is the Chief of Staff Sundries account. I believe we cannot disclose on air the sources of our informants or our informants, because this is a sensitive area, and if we decide to do that, maybe we could be compromising the people. So we would not reveal to the general populace our informants, but what we want the public to know that indeed these transfers were made, and there's evidence, actually documentary evidence to prove that. And in due time, actually, we shall make this available to the media and to the public. We just want to make sure that we have gathered all the necessary evidence, and then we would call a press conference for these evidence to be given to the populace and to the people, so that they are aware of.
And you believe that this evidence is watertight enough for the special prosecutor to build a good case out of this?
Actually, we have actually sent some of the evidence to the special prosecutor for him to have a look and actually investigate these matters, because these are letters that are signed by Kingsley Ewadakon, and which was authorizing transfer of amounts of money from First Atlantic Bank to the Bank of Ghana to the Chief of Staff Sundries account, which is a questionable account. First of all, why should such an account be created? The legality of that account, did it go through the right processes? Talk about the fact that we need to see if the controller and accountant general actually approved such an account. We also need to question and see if there was a parliamentary act for special funds. If these things are not done, but first of all, let me help you understand that we haven't come about any information in the public domain to actually affirm that these accounts went through these processes to become a government account. Let me put it that way. So these are questions that have to be raised, and we are looking for the special prosecutor to bring us answers to that questions. That's why we have petitioned him to answer these questions for us.
Let's focus on this said 40 million cedis that was moved between August 2015 and early January 2017. Sure. What exactly, or where is this money coming from?
When you look at the letter in question, or the letters in question, the letters say the monies are coming from security fees charged on bulk oil distribution companies. Invoices from sales of products that were transferred from Quao to them. But we have heard from Mr. Hossi, who is the CEO of the Chambers, who has also actually stood his ground in saying that they weren't charged any of such security fees, first off. And secondly, they do not deal with Quao. So these are serious questions and raises serious eyebrows. Talk about the Ghanaian populace. People would ask questions that if these were charges that were being made to the bulk oil distribution companies, and they are also saying, or their head is saying that they weren't charged these amounts, then we need to actually find money coming from, or where is the sources of this money, and why was the money actually transferred to this particular account. These are questions we are seeking for the special prosecutor to answer, and we hope that in due time we'll have those questions answered. You
say you've sent some of your documentation to the special prosecutor. Have you had an initial response, and what has the office's disposition been like ever since this conversation between your entity and the special prosecutor started?
Well, the special prosecutor has been very responsive of our petition. We are yet to receive a final letter from him to affirm that he would carry out the investigations on that, and we hopefully would have that response by tomorrow. So we are hoping to get that from him.
Would you happen to know if the special prosecutor has reached out to these two gentlemen whose names have been dragged into this, the former president and his chief of staff?
I don't think I can answer on behalf of the special prosecutor. He would be in the best position to answer questions with regards to his office and with regards to his investigation.
I can understand you want questions answered, very genuine questions answered. What do you think, or what eventual end would you be happy with, or what would satisfy you? You've started this process. What at the end of it will make you happy for you to know that all this has been worthwhile?
That monies that were channeled into an account is accounted for, where we know what those monies were used for. And when we find out what those monies were used for, and if they were used for the Ghanaian populace, that is, if it was of benefit to the ordinary Ghanaian on the street, then I think we'll be satisfied as Center for National Affairs.
That would make you happy if you see something tangible.
Something tangible that we know that indeed this monies was channeled into maybe feeding a school child, or maybe putting some children through school, or building roads for some people, providing health care for a few people, or for some people, then I think we'll be satisfied as Center for National Affairs.
When you're looking at this case now, but has it triggered the urge in you and the entity to go after, such case, to try to get more of these questions answered? Because 40 million cedis is huge, but probably it could not. I mean, this may not be the only thing that may have happened, between then and now, even under a new government.
Sure. And I believe we are a civil society organization. Broadly, we are a policy think tank. We also handle anti-corruption issues that are relevant, that pop up over time. So yes, in previous times, we actually petitioned the Chief Justice concerning the corruption-related issues at the Electoral Commission. And we got a response. So as and when things happen, corruption-related issues, when we do hear about it, provided it is not crowded, that particular issue is not crowded with other civil society groups, I think we'll go after it and actually tackle it.
All right, just finally, you say that you are hoping to get a response from the special prosecutor by tomorrow. You mentioned organizing a press conference. At which point will that come in? Is it in the event of a failure of a response, or after the response you would go out to put out more information concerning this?
So the response is ready.
Okay.
Let me put it that way. The response is ready. So we just have to go and pick it up. That is what I'll put there before you. And secondly, with regards to the information, we are in consultation with our legal team. We are still gathering more information on this, because we believe this is not the only state institution that was actually paying monies into such an account. What we want to do is to actually come out with the hard evidence, make sure that we have our facts gathered well enough to actually pursue for finality to be brought on the matter. So that's what we are seeking to do.
All right, thank you very much, Samuel Adunyame Lartey. He's Executive Director at the Center for National Affairs, and I'm sure we'll follow up on this and see where it leads.
Sure. Thank you very much, Nathan, for your time.
Thank you very, very much. So you heard Samuel Adunyame Lartey, Executive Director at the Center for National Affairs, trying to dig deep into this said 40 million Ghana cedis that was moved about between August 2015 and early January 2017. Let's get to some other stories. And amid cheers and joy, patrons of the University of Education, Winneba, held an investiture for the 4th Vice-Chancellor of the university, Reverend Professor Afo Bruni. He's mandated to see to the day-to-day running of the university until the 30th of September 2021. Despite the constitutional breaches and opposition raised by some persons, the governing council of the University Education of Winneba insists the Vice-Chancellor's appointment is without any illegality and the best choice, and he is the best choice for the university. Let's move on to some other stories. And the Technical University Workers Association of Ghana, TUAG, has served notice that it will embark on a strike action in solidarity with their counterpart, the Technical Universities Association of Ghana, TUTAG. This, the group says, is part of efforts to push for swift migration of its members onto the conditions of service of universities. The group's notice follows a nationwide industrial action embarked on earlier by the Technical Universities Teachers Association. Speaking to Citi News, the National Vice President of TUAG, Fanuel Kudi, demanded an immediate stakeholder consultation to implement the roadmap towards their migration.
Our position is that since we also form part of technical universities, whatever the teacher does affects us. Whatever we do affects them. So we are one. Yes, we are in support or we are in solidarity. Because the teacher wrote a letter to the Minister of Education. They delay it. Now they serve notice. Teachers serve notice to what? The Minister of Education. Now they've sent a further letter to NSC that if they fail If they fail to migrate them onto a single spine, therefore they will go on strike. Once they've also served notice, and then now that their demand is not being met, they have laid down their tools. They are on a single strike. Therefore, what do we have to do? We are also going to serve NLC. So if they fail, what do we have to do? Therefore, we follow. Because a cleaner also matters in the technical university. We are about to serve the NLC. So if we serve them and they are unable to comply, what do you have to do? Therefore, we also sit down. As simple as ABCD.
Now, the Member of Parliament for the Menchia South constituency in the Ashanti region, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, has pledged to invest and prioritize the education of pupils and students within his constituency.
According to him, the country needs the next generation of Ghanaians to be well educated so that they can compete with the rest of the world. The Menchia South MP made the remarks when he donated a total of 22,400 reading books to 14 junior high schools within his constituency.
Was part of an annual event where the Menchia South legislator provides learning materials, sports kits, ICT labs, computers, uniforms, and furniture to schools within the area. Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh says the donation forms part of his commitment to groom the next generation of Ghanaians through education to enable them contribute their quota to Ghana's economic development.
Every year we do something on education to cut across all the schools. Every year we do it. Whether we are presenting furniture, books, computers, of everything, or sports equipment, or what we can do. It is to provide what I think is the most essential toolkit for the students and the pupils in Menchia that will bring about prosperity in their lives. Giving their parents money will not have as impact as educating their kids. We need the next generation of Ghanaians well educated to compete in the global arena. This is not the first time I'm doing this. No, I'm not doing this because I'm a Minister of Education. I'm doing this as a Member of Parliament from Menchia South constituency, which I find is my #1 obligation is to improve education in my constituency.
Kumasi Metropolitan Director of the Ghana Education Service, Martha Osu Ajiman, lauded the MP for the gesture and urged teachers of the beneficiary schools the books and other items donated to them are managed properly.
We will monitor. That is our job. We will come around, see both teachers and pupils if they are putting the books into good use. Because these days, you know, with phones and television, our children do not like reading. And if you want to become a good scholar, you can't do without reading. So I am very happy he's donated these books. So we will come around and monitor that they are making use of the books by reading. They are all reading books. So we'll come to check to see they are really putting them to good use for the intended purpose.
Teachers of the beneficiary schools thanked the MP for the donation.
And this is not the first time. Ever since he became a minister, he has been useful to the schools. Even this term, he has been able to paint our school block. My school has now gotten a facelift. So I'm really impressed. To meet my teachers, they will control the books. I will see to it that they give it to the children. We are not going to keep the books in the cupboard to rot. The children have to broaden their horizon. So they are therefore going to use it effectively.
Having received books being donated by the MP for the area and the Minister of Education, we are very much delighted and very much happy. We've always been crying for books, and God being so good today, we have received them. We make sure that we put the books to good use. We will see to it that the children make use of them, and having been given a cupboard to, it means we have a safer place to keep the books. So we are surely going to make use of the books. We are grateful to the MP and the Minister of Education for that matter.
The schools were also provided with cupboards to be used in the safekeeping and proper storage of the books. Hafiz Tijani, Citi News.
And let's go back to our previous story concerning the investiture of the fourth Vice-Chancellor of the University of Education, Winneba. And that was done amidst joy and cheers as patrons were there to witness the investiture of the fourth Vice-Chancellor, Professor Afo Bruni. He's mandated to see the day-to-day running of the university until the 30th of September 2021. Despite the constitutional breaches and opposition raised by some persons, the governing council of the university insists the vice-chancellor's appointment is without any illegalities and he's the best choice for the university.
Prior to his appointment, Reverend Father Professor Bruni University, he had earlier served as Pro-Vice-Chancellor of the University of Education, Winneba. Present at the ceremony was President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, senior and junior members of the university community, ministers of state, Omanhene of the Futu traditional area, and Archbishop Palmer Bakel. For some months now, University of Education Winneba has been without a substantive vice-chancellor after the former vice-chancellor Professor Mawuto Avoke and some key officers of the university were set aside and subsequently removed from office following a court ruling on the legality of their appointment and some decisions undertaken during their tenure. Questions have been raised of the treatment meted out to the former vice-chancellor and a senior lecturer at the University of Ghana Law School. Professor Raymond Atuguba has also in an article asked a few more concerning the legality of the appointment and investiture of the new Vice-Chancellor. Meanwhile, Chairman of the Governing Council of UEW, Professor Nicholas Abeka, in a speech at the investiture, debunked claims of unconstitutionality about the appointment.
The Governing Council put Reverend Father Professor Anthony Afubwe into the greatest leadership test that many leaders would never ever wish for themselves. We scored his performance on several key indicators and variables. He provided strategic leadership during the period he acted as the Vice-Chancellor of the university. He remained focused on the job with an appreciable cohesion. And above all, he has the requisite qualifications and proven record of good comportment and character to occupy the vacant position of the office of the Vice-Chancellor.
President Akufo-Addo in his speech, however, charged the university authorities to prepare themselves for the first batch of the free senior high school policy.
One of the most important immediate challenges which will confront this university and others will be the dramatically increased population of students who will be seeking admission in some 2 years as a result of the free senior high school policy. There are some, mercifully a minority, who continue to state that all the infrastructural needs of our schools should have been addressed before the rollout of free SHS. I strongly disagree.
Vice-Chancellor Professor Afo Bruni, on his part, pledged to deliver to the best of his capabilities.
Of this policy, it is anticipated that universities across the country will be overwhelmed by large numbers of applicants seeking to gain access to university education. We in the University of Education, in addition to the many facilities that are ongoing, have also resolved to build 8 more pavilions. And thank God, only last Thursday, the Public Procurement Authority has approved our application to build these pavilions. And I pledge that within the next month, you will see even more construction ongoing here in this university.
You're still watching the Citi Newsroom live on Citi TV. We'll go for a short break, but coming up, 5 people lose their lives in the Sisala East municipality of the Upper West region following torrential rains in that area. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Good evening, this is The Point of View. We're live on Citi TV.
Tune in to The Point of View, Mondays and Wednesdays at 9 p.m. as Bernard Avlet takes the news further. He will bring the right guests, ask them the relevant questions, and get you the real insights you need on the big stories for the day.
We need taxes to run the economy. How do you do it sensibly and have the least pernicious effect in terms of cascading through the economy? And I think that is the thinking that is required. It's not a denial that we need taxes, and I think that is the difference in the two administrations.
The Point of View with Bernard Avlet, Monday and Wednesday nights, only on Citi TV.
We spice up your mornings with culturally enriched conversations, social interviews, and policy-oriented discussions that will keep you updated on the progress of the nation.
Because we're giving only those in their third trimester. So in the next 3 months, those in their second would be ready to receive the kits. And we're taking data at registration, which is before they take the kits, at delivery and post-delivery, so that we can analyze and we'll see the numbers. So from the numbers and the data that we're collecting, we would know what has worked, what hasn't worked,
Join the Breakfast Daily team Monday through Fridays from 7:30 a.m. to 10. Let your voice be heard with the hashtag Breakfast Daily. Join us for breakfast daily, only on Citi TV.
Thanks for staying with us. The Ghana Physician Assistants Association has scaled up its ongoing strike in the second week of its industrial action against government. The association has withdrawn emergency services after doing same with outpatients departments earlier and likely to withdraw all services next week if the government fails to meet their demands. The action follows the expiration of the 3 weeks ultimatum issued to the government to resolve all outstanding issues relating to member salaries, discrepancies and conditions of service. Now, I have been joined by the president for the Graduate Physicians Assistants Association, Anthony Asari-Ako, who is an executive member of the mother body, Ghana Physicians Assistants Association. Thank you very much, Tony, for your time.
Thank you.
Right, so why this drastic decision?
Thank you very much, and also thank you to your cherished viewers. The decision to embark on this strike is not, I wouldn't describe it as drastic, because prior to issuing the press release on our decision to embark on the strike, it was given like 3 weeks ahead of time after negotiation has failed, with government. And that is when we sought to dialogue. And when we started since 10th September by withdrawing OPD services, you can really imagine the ministry's position, and we describe it as a very sluggish response to our plight since 10th, and the date that was set for the first hearing of our plight has been scheduled at 2 p.m. tomorrow. And I think that it is not good, especially with the public suffering with our absence. And across the country, all of you have witnessed how our absence might have felt. I think the ministry might have underrated our absence from work, or might have thought that our absence in trade, they will say, but that is how valuable we are. You go to Ashanti, you go to other, this is not only the health centers, but the government facilities within the municipal hospitals, and even a lot of polyclinics across the country are suffering a lot.
Right, so let's hear what you want the government to address. What are the issues?
It's simple. When we talk about salary discrepancies, the salary discrepancies are bordered on the fact that after you have completed your academic training from the university and you've been trained in the medical model to practice medicine, just like doctors, we have a group of people just with the same cadre of professionals who are referred to as direct medical assistant. But the medical assistant program is obsolete and out of the system. You go across the world and the standardized word is physician assistant. And the ministry has taken a position, this name, just to underpay some and pay some. But all of us, irrespective of your academic qualification, whether it's degree or advanced diploma in community medicine and health, we use the same license to practice in accordance with the Labor Act and the provisions of the 2003 Labor Act. It's a equal work for equal pay. And so apart from, a degree, but we all hold the same license to practice. That is one. We also talk about the obsolete job description. Is that what we are using now is the 2005 restructuring the additional duty hour allowance job description that was designed for medical assistants. That doesn't exist anymore. Me like this, I completed university, I came, reported to my facility, and my HR couldn't issue me with a job description because what the job description there, my qualification is far much higher, and what I'm performing in accordance with the Medical and Dental Council standards is also higher. So we are telling the government that once you have upgraded the curriculum and the content of training, then raise the job description. That also comes with conditions of service. And the conditions of service there, the last time I said, the government has contravened the Labor Act Section 10. You go to Section 79 and then 82 there. The employee has the right to choose which union to join or to form a union to negotiate for conditions of service. But the government has chosen the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association to negotiate, and has certified them to negotiate conditions of service, including salaries. So what happens is that I practice medicine, I am the lead in the medical team with a nurse, with a pharmacist, with a lab technologist, yet I am being paid as a nurse.
Right, so let's look at how the conversation has been, before the strike and during the strike. What has government been saying? Have they engaged you in any way, and what has been the conversation?
There is, I will say something about physician assistant intent allowance, for instance. I personally led a group of physician assistants and we went to the Labor Commission. That was last year, March. We took the ministry that during a 1-year mandatory service where physician assistant interns are provisionally licensed to practice medicine in institutions under the Ministry of Health, they are paid nothing. We took the ministry to Labor Commission, we had a meeting, and after that was it. And so that is how the ministry has responded. There are things since 1960, not that we are showing off our strength. We have never resorted to strikes. We just go for dialogues. We write letters upon letters, letters upon letters. The only thing we do is that we just change dates at the Ministry of Health, at the HR department with the Ghana Health Service. They will then promise you immediately you turn off, everything goes silent. So this time it's like it's like a wounded lion. You can no more kill it. You can't kill it anymore. And so we decided to embark on.
Right, so what exactly do you want government to do for you?
One, to address the salary discrepancies. Two, the job description. We are not supposed to make job description, but we have even presented one with all heads of institutions that we met them. Two, we want the government to also solve the conditions of service for us, our accommodation, everything that goes into good conditions of service for a medical practitioner. It should be. We are also looking at specialists who have been physician assistant specialists who have been trained in the model of clinical dermatology and psychiatry, who are practicing as specialists but have not been recognized on the pay structure as specialists or by the ministry as specialists. And we are also by this means cautioning all medical superintendents, warning who are intimidating our people who have joined the strike to stay away, because we all collaborate. When they also embark on strike, we also share a solidarity with them, and so they should also start with this and many other things. We ask the government to intervene.
Right, so you are meeting the ministry tomorrow.
Yes.
What's going to be happening?
We think that now that they have felt, a lot of doctors and medical directors have come in and have also contributed, that the impact of our absence has been felt. There's so much increased clinical load on the few medical staffs there, and so we expect that a memorandum of understanding will be sought, and we'll put down documentations. That which is legitimate, we will push for it. That which we have to lobby, we will lobby. And I know this government is a listening government, especially the Minister for Health.
So what happens if after the meeting tomorrow, there's no MOU?
Then you can imagine, you will march straight to the Jubilee House.
Wow. Now, you've also mentioned earlier in a statement that you have a certain roadmap that you are following regarding the strike actions that led to your withdrawal of emergency services. So what is going to happen? I mean, if what you are looking for doesn't happen, what is the next thing you're going to do as far as your roadmap is concerned?
Even today, most of the circulars we released, we were just starting the third phase, that is withdrawing the inpatient service as well, all because of the response that has been sluggish and very slow from the Ministry of Health. And so we might not really wait for the week 2 and before we declare a total strike from services. It's painful, actually. It hurts us. But I think the Ghanaian public should also bear with us that for 60 years, we've lived under the shadows of other health practitioners, and they never knew us, they never heard about us, but you can see what is really happening. You go to the hospital and other medical staff have left and a physician assistant is working. So this is what, and many other things we want the government to.
Anthony, thank you very much for your time, and I really hope that there's some kind of understanding tomorrow. Good luck.
Thank you.
Right, so I've just been talking to Anthony Asare-Ako, who is an executive member of the Mother Body Ghana Physicians Assistant Association, giving us more insight as to why they are on strike. Now, moving on, an 11-member committee outdoor to assist in the validation and verification of shop owners as contractors at the KGTR redevelopment project will soon hand over the facility to the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly for distribution. The validation exercise is scheduled to start on Wednesday, October 19, 2018. The Brazilian firm contractor who is in charge of the $259 million facility is set to hand over to the Assembly after completing phase 1 of the project.
The Metropolitan Assembly, prior to the relocation of traders and shop owners to temporary market facilities within the metropolis, conducted a biometric registration of all original shop owners. The relocation of the occupants was to pave way for the start of the phase 1 of the KGTR redevelopment project. Incessant market fires, congestion, and the increasing economic activities at the Kumasi Central Market and the KGTR bus terminal necessitated the redevelopment of the facilities by the Assembly. Speaking to journalists at an event to outdoor the validation committee at the Kumasi Cultural Center, Kumasi Mayor Osei Esibe Entry says the oversight committee will prioritize original shop owners in the validation process.
The Assembly, now mindful of the fact that the phase 1 is going to be handed over to us, has now formed a validation committee, and the duty of the validation committee is to, first of all, to verify and validate those who used to have stalls at the former place, that is KGTR. As we are all aware, they used to have 440 units. 440 units. And when you talk of the units, one can have a lot. One can contain about 20, the other one can contain about 15. So throughout the verification and validation exercise is going to establish the real owners of the people who were at KGTR. And in prioritization, those at KGTR who were relocated to Achemfo and Adishie Market are the people who will be validated first.
Chairperson of the committee, Amwama Hini Nana Ajenim Boating, assures that the committee will ensure due diligence in the whole process. He allays fears that the shops will be given out to party faithfuls.
So let's assume that there is this ex-party man who thinks he can get it now. The question is how come? Because it's a biometric registration and that has been authenticated. So even the server is not in Kumasi, let alone for one to get into that server. If you come and we assess and you check your name, for instance, I come as Nana Jenim Boating. You can have Nana Jenim Boating's 20. But then Nana Jenim Boating of what telephone number? And that telephone number will prop, and that server is in Accra, will come with your picture. So even if you would have even stolen the name or you have any info as to have come, the picture before the server and the world will know that you are not the person sitting there. Besides that, also we'll request that you bring an ID to also, which is the recognized IDs, which is known for Ghana, is what you tender. And from there, we'll then go into this proper system of then getting you that license, which is from there is a subsequent process of how we'll get it into the payment and moving from there.
Meanwhile, Public Relations Officer for the KJTIA Petty Traders Association, Andrews Kofi, appeals to the KMA to avoid technicalities in the validation process.
We only pray that during the validation, they must do well to avoid technicalities. We know our members, so the number of stores, in fact, they have the soft copy at their center. So we don't want a situation where everybody will be sideline when it comes to the validation process. So we will be around to check and make sure that each and every person who has shop at KJTIA before before the construction will be made to get its shop. That is why we came here.
Leadership of the petty traders and traders associations, queens, and other relevant stakeholders have been sensitized on the whole exercise by the KMA. Hafiz Tijani, Citi News, Kumasi.
Let's come to Accra, where the Accra Metropolitan Assembly has deployed tipper trucks to collect refuse swept by staff of Zoom Lion Ghana within the business district of Accra. According to the Assembly, this was necessary as sweepers and drivers of Zoom Lion designated to sanitize public and commercial households within Accra had abruptly withdrawn their services. In an interview with Citi News, head of the Public Affairs Department at the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, Gilbert Ankara, was pleased with Zoom Lion to resolve the issues of the workers in order to resolve the matter.
The drivers of Zoom Lion, Accra Zone, withdrew their services this morning without officially informing the Assembly. Emergency measures, and that was why we had to deploy these drivers evacuate some has been cleared by sweepers. We had some around
today discharged of the Damongo Catholic Hospital, who was accused of raping a sick Italian woman who had visited the health facility. The 28-year-old nurse, Ernest Green, was arrested by the Damongo District Police at the health facility. The suspect was transferred to the Northern Regional Police.
Has since been standing trial until he was finally and relative the leader of the Catholic Hospital chapter of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives nurses and other paramedical staff their tools in solidarity with Ernest Green have the Sisala East municipality over a week.
And they have misplaced or have Upper West Regional Correspondent Latif
while most of the affected families are seeking shelter on their farms.
I think so far we have recorded about 4 from farm with the sun and the heavy rain. Small boy, the dam that got broken carried away one flood. And at Bewisbele, a woman who was returning from a farm with her granddaughter were both carried away, and their bodies were later has already happened. A fisherman went to the sea to rather find a human head in the net. So it was actually that they could not. So far, these are the number of.
Municipal NADMO director decried to get relief items for the affected persons and called
small no to touch the bridge. Okay. So after they can make this thing now the water the fluid. You can take our things enter spoil our life. Okay. So that if the water comes, it will come and pass fast.
Meanwhile, the Sisala East Municipal Chief Executive support to the victims.
Shelter. Then you also need to clothe these people because some of them water has taken away all their to give them and then all that. A lot of them actually rendered vulnerable to it.
It is very clear that dozens of residents in the Sisala East municipality are affected. Government and non-governmental organizations
that we pass name is Frema Adunyame.
And I am Nathan Quao. Thank you.